Hey everybody, so welcome back to part 2 of Arsenal building for the 2022 USBC Open Championships. And if you have not seen part 1 yet, be sure to click the top corner of your screen right now and watch part 1 before you get into this one. In part 1 I discussed my strategy and lineup as far as bowling balls go for the team event at the USBC Open Championships this year. Well, now we're going to be going over the doubles and singles portion of the arsenal that I'm building. I'm going to be kind of talking about a strategy that's a little bit different, but mostly similar to the one from team. So still, as you see here, I started by breaking down lanes with my Venom Shock. That's a huge part of why that I want to bring that ball in the first place. It's my benchmark ball, something that adapts well with surface that's not urethane, and it's able to break down the lanes very well. Now, this pattern is a little bit longer than the one that I made for team, so I'll throw the disclaimer out there again. I have no clue what's actually out there on the lanes this year for the 2022 USBC Open Championships, but I have built two patterns based on the past patterns that they've used at this tournament and what that they've used each year from 2016 all the way to 2021 that I looked at, and just kind of designed some patterns, one for team and one for doubles and singles. So today is the doubles and singles one. I believe I made it 41 feet and a little bit easier than the team one. The point of this is to kind of mimic what that I saw last year, what that I've seen as far as the videos of people shooting 300 go that everybody has access to on social media from USBC themselves. So without further ado, let's get into the arsenal portion. So I drilled up a 900 Global Reality a couple of days ago. I actually won a tournament with it the first day that I drilled it and threw it, and I love it. I shot 798 pretty much out of the box with it and love how it rolls. It's a great ASIM solid, and so I put a very weak layout on it, and I think that it could be extremely versatile, but also it's a little bit difficult for me to gauge because I thought it would be an earlier ball where I'm going to throw it early on, game one mostly. But it turned out quite the opposite. So I started with the UC3 today and shot 228, which I started with a 9 out, and then I think I had 6 or 7 in a row after that. The UC3 looked really, really good. So you can see some shots of that here and kind of how that I attacked it. I was just playing the track area. I actually shipped off my Desperado LE that you saw in the last video. I shipped that to Texas. My parents are going to take that to Vegas for me, and I don't have to worry about it, so that I can take 6 with me on the plane and have that 7th there just in case. So I wasn't able to play super far right on this pattern because I didn't have that ball, and that's what that ball is designed for, as we talked in the last video. But I did use my UC3 for the majority of the first game today, actually for the entire first game, and played that track area, so 12 and 13 at the arrows, out to about 4 or 5 down lane, and it looked really, really good. When I would miss a little bit right, it would hook right back, and if I would miss a little bit left, it had that great hold. But as it got later in the game, it started to carry down quite a bit, and I left a washout in the 10th frame, spared it, but still left a washout, and I was kind of confused because I thought it was a much better shot than one that would leave a washout. So then I tried my Zen Master on the fill shot, which is similar to how that I played the team pattern, going to that Zen Master with 4,000 on it, and it looks really good again. So when I threw that the second game and did really well with it, I shot 258, I believe, and it just looked really good. I think I had 10 strikes that game, and it looks great where no matter how much that I'm missing right, as long as it's not, an extreme amount, I could get it down lane, I could get it to like 2, and it would still hook right back off the dry and go light and mix them around. Or if I miss just a hair in, so I was trying to get it to about 4 down lane, if I hit like 5, maybe even graze 6, then it would sit and just go high flush and carry. And it was amazing. And I got a couple messengers today as well, which is always fun. But the point is that Zen Master has become such a great transition ball. It's really ideal for when I'm trying to play the transition, when I don't want to get out of the solid cover stock and still have a large symmetric core, but have it just be a little bit shinier than something like my Shock. It's wonderful. So that 4,000 grit is awesome. I actually did a ball review of the Zen Master right when I got it, so check that out in the corner of your screen as well. So then from there, I was kind of confused again. this is similar to what happened on the team shot, but just in a different way. So it started to develop where I could throw the ball right, but it started to overhook if I threw it too far right. And so I was kind of getting confused with how that it was breaking down. So I thought, okay, go to something shinier, same core, go to the Zen. That'll get a little further down the lane and hopefully still allow me to throw it right. But if I did, then it would really overhook because of how responsive that cover stock is to friction. So then I thought about it, and after talking to my teammate Kyle, who bowls for Auto University, he recommended that I throw the Reality. And I was like, really? You think so? And so then after I tried my Zen for a shot and went 4 through the middle, I threw the Reality, and it looked really good, actually. I just bumped a little bit left and threw it straight to the dry. And because of the asim part of it, the asymmetric core, it was able to roll really smoothly. And whenever it would hit that dry spot down lane where I threw it right, it would actually just bleed off of it rather than hooking so dramatically, which is what I needed. And looking back on it, it makes a lot of sense. But in the moment, I was kind of confused and a little bit hesitant to try it at first. But then I did, and it looked really good. And so then I ended up shooting 182 that game. I just kind of grinded out. I went double spare strike in the 8th, 9th, and 10th whenever I switched to the Reality. So it did me good, and I made a move in the 10th and still 4-pinned. So, that ball does have a lot of flare potential to it. It has a 5 7/8 inch pin to PAP, so it's drilled really weak. But it still tries to cover as many boards as possible, especially on something like a 41-foot shot. So that made sense to me whenever I 4-pinned. And still, I've had a little bit of an issue of hitting up on the ball a little bit extra lately, and so I'm trying to get rid of that habit. But all things aside, I still went plus 66 today on the doubles and singles pattern. I think that I would definitely take that right now for the first 3 games, and then there will be 3 more for singles after that in the tournament. But this was a really good way for me to gauge what was going on and what I was seeing. So I started with the UC3, which I have not actually hit with any surface, which has surprised me, but I think it just looks better and better the more that I continue to throw it without surface on it. It's also a ball that reads so early that I haven't seen the need to put surface on it, especially with my ball roll. It's hard for me to get away with using surface because it'll want to pick up so early that it just goes. That's why something like the shock, since the Venom shock, since it's pinned down and it's smooth in general, then that helps me be able to use surface on it. But with something like the UC3, I just haven't found the need to put surface on it yet because it does already cover so many boards and read early enough because of the strength of the cover stock, which is a really good point. But, as we've seen in all these shots of today, then we see like the Zen Master just looked really good as it transitioned. And I have learned, and something that I talked about in a previous video too, whenever I first drilled the UC3, is that as I continue to learn about using urethane and then going to resin directly after, which is not something that I used to do. When I was a little bit younger, a couple years ago, I always used to try and stay in urethane as long as possible. And, there certainly is a point where you just can't throw it anymore in like a tournament. So there's a big point to that. Well, as I watched several professional bowlers over the years, as much as urethane has taken off in the sport and becomes such a staple in everybody's bag, I've learned that going to a semi-shiny ball or even like a shiny symmetric solid, something in that range, is really, really good for whenever there's carry down. And that's why that I continue to go to that Zen Master and think it's so good. Because as I see that transition of the carry down, I'm noticing that I can get away with throwing the ball to the right of the carry down and still getting it to hook back if it's got a little bit of shine on it. If it's not shiny, then it'll roll a little bit too much and be too smooth and not recover whenever you need it to if you throw it right. But having it at that 4,000 grit is really perfect for that. So the full arsenal itself, I'm going to throw a High Road Pearl in there that I haven't really shown you guys a lot of shots with because it hasn't broken down enough necessarily for me to get all the way down that far in my arsenal. But as my weakest ball, I'm going to be bringing the High Road Pearl Storm. High Road Pearl, and I'm really excited for that too because I love that ball for whenever the lanes are super dry. But I haven't really gotten to that point, although you've seen a couple of shots here with it. So we've got 900 Global Reality, the Desperado LE that I shipped off and talked about in the last video. I've got a UC3 and also a Zen Master at 4,000 grit, a Venom Shock, and a Zen. And I'm really excited for this. I think this is a great, well-rounded arsenal that covers all the bases in those 7 balls. And I'm really excited to see how I do. So I leave on this Friday, the 8th of July, to go out there, and I bowl on the 9th, 10th, and then the Bulls Journal on the 11th. So guys, be sure to say hi if you're in the Vegas area around that time, and I'll see you guys later. Leave a comment down below and tell me what was your game plan at the USBC Open Championships this year if you already went, because I know it's like the last week. So yeah, just leave that down below and tell me how you did. So guys, I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye.